I can't believe we're gonna fight, because I really want this guy. A little bit teach him and not only smash, like change his face. I wanna change his face.
The story of the biggest fight in UFC history started long before any of the famous backstage antics or trash-talking interviews took place. In the week leading up to the famous UFC 205 card, headlined by Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez, we saw the first altercation between Khabib and Conor. In this short 9-second clip, you can see them in a brief shouting match. Although you can't really hear what they're saying, this showed Khabib's frustration about being used to push the Conor vs Eddie fight. Dana had fans thinking Khabib would be the one fighting Eddie Alvarez after this confusing tweet, but it still ended up being Conor vs Eddie. Angered by the games being played, Khabib showed one of his greatest performances of all time versus Michael Johnson, with this famous moment and this legendary post-fight interview. I wanted to stay humble, but I have to talk, because your guys talk too much. And you know what's interesting? I understand how crazy power a UFC PR machine has. Your guy, beginning of the year, he tapped like chicken. End of the year, he fight for the title. This is true. This is not trash talking. Irish was only 6 million, Russia 150 million. I want to fight with your chicken, because this is the #1 easy fight in the lightweight division. What made this post-fight interview even colder was the fact that the majority of the crowd was Irish and huge Conor supporters. This interview started the crazy sequence of events that would happen in the following years. That same night, Conor McGregor TKO'd Eddie Alvarez to become the first simultaneous double champion in UFC history.
One, two, three.
After securing the double champ status in the UFC, Conor had his eyes on history. For the first time ever, especially of such magnitude, the top draw of MMA and the top draw of boxing crossed paths. The press conferences and interviews leading up to the bout were some of the greatest and historic moments of combat history. On August 26, 2017, the Mayweather-McGregor showdown took place in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. It ultimately ended in a 10th round TKO finish for Mayweather, but it showed that Conor was a star of the same level as Mayweather. This fight not only catapulted himself, but catapulted the UFC to new heights. A few months after the money fight, Khabib made his return to the UFC after his infamous weight-cutting hiccup versus Tony Ferguson. This time around, Khabib was set to face Edson Barbosa. Come December 30th, 2017, at UFC 219, Khabib picked up the best win of his MMA career. Khabib landed 89 of 177 significant strikes, 413 takedowns, and had nearly 11 minutes of control time. Complete domination with judges scoring the fight 30-25, 30-25, and 30-24 in favor of Khabib Nurmagomedov. On April 3rd, the infamous video of Khabib slapping Artem Lobov made rounds on the internet. Artem Lobov was a longtime friend and training partner of Conor, but was also Russian descent like Khabib. 2 days later, following the UFC media event, Conor and the MacLife entourage broke into the Barclays Center to find Khabib. As Khabib didn't leave the bus, Conor picked up a dolly and threw it on the bus, breaking the glass and injuring fighters inside the bus, most notably Michael Chiesa and Rose Namajunas.
Send me a message, like location, I'm gonna come. Whatever you want, doesn't matter. Ireland, New York, Brooklyn or Moscow, doesn't matter.
A warrant was issued for Conor's arrest, and he turned himself into authorities later that day, with charges of assault and criminal mischief being pressed.
How is your thought process right now heading into tomorrow night?
First of all, I want to say Alhamdulillah. Allah always have better plan than we have. And this week they asked me fight with 5 different guys. Hey, I say I'm tired about this. If you can bring King Kong and he can make 155, let's go.
2 days later, and after numerous opponent pullouts, Khabib finally had an opponent, Al Iaquinta. After a masterclass performance, specifically showing the fight world that his striking improved, Khabib won by unanimous decision to secure the UFC lightweight title. A few months after this, Conor lucked out with no serious consequences apart from 5 days of community work. However, it was clear, especially after the announcement for October 6, 2018, the biggest fight in UFC history would take place, and nothing would stop the inevitable matchup.
Love of this, to come and shut this man up, a little rat, a little weasel, a little hard man in groups. I've met many of them through my years. A man who grows in numbers, but on his own, and when confronted in a similar situation, cowers away. And then over on his neck of the woods, a man involved in something who's now in prison. But Vladimir Putin locked him up for embezzling 150 million worth of money from the Russian people. Started to invest and pump money into his gym, so he started to grow in power. Started to gain this false power and started thinking he was a little hard man, tough guy.
The press conferences and interviews leading up to the fight were at a next level. Fans had never seen two fighters going so far in pre-fight antics, talking about nationality, culture, religion, and even criminal past. It was no doubt that Conor and Khabib both did their research on each other to gain any sort of mental edge. Conor even went to the extent of bringing up Khabib Nurmagomedov. "You took money from Magomedov," shouted Conor over and over. Khabib was a Russian oligarch who sponsored Khabib in his camp, but was later handed a 19-year sentence on charges of embezzling funds and organized crime. Despite all this, Khabib remained stoic, assuring Conor that the only thing that mattered was October 6th. Everything was coming together for the biggest fight in UFC history.
We're going into this, I think, a little bit ahead, just a teeny bit, but sometimes that's all you need, just a little bit. And we're going in there with that relaxation, confidence of knowing that now it's time. Cage closes, now it's time to do his thing, and I know Khabib is going to go out to do exactly what we've been preparing for. I have no doubt about it, but I'm expecting a war.
Among a sea of predominantly Irish fans, Conor received the hero's welcome and Khabib a roar of boos. The fight started, and the two rivals were finally locked inside the octagon. They don't touch gloves. After a couple of attempts, Khabib's next effort yields a takedown and triangles Conor's legs. Khabib eventually passes to half guard, puts heavy pressure on McGregor's torso, and postures up just before the horn to land a pair of punches. All the judges score the round 10-9 in favor of Khabib. Round 2. Conor takes the center again and fires a few kicks at Khabib, then misses with a leaping knee. Khabib comes back to the middle and floors Conor with a missile right hand, shoots and completes a double leg takedown. Conor scrambles to recover the full guard, but now Khabib is postured up and is landing right hands to the body and a few left hands to the face. Conor is taking some hard shots, and in between, Khabib is trash talking him. All the judges score the round 10-8 in favor of Khabib. Round 3. Conor comes to Khabib with uppercuts to start the round, mixing up punches to the body and head. 2 minutes in, Khabib initiates a clinch on the fence, but this time, Conor pushes Khabib's hands away and walks him back to the middle of the cage. Khabib tries jabbing, but Conor answers back with a body blow, and then shrugs off another clinch. Conor eventually climbs back up from one of Khabib's takedown attempts. However, he's pinned against the wall with 60 seconds on the clock. All judges score the round 10-9 in favor of Conor. Round 4. Conor takes the center of the cage, keeps Khabib at a distance with long jabs and front kicks to the body. After a minute of this, Khabib bulldozes forward and takes on Conor. Conor rolls over, leaving Khabib in a 3/4 mount with Conor trapping his right foot. After eating a few solid left hands, Conor rolls over, giving up his back. Within a few seconds, Khabib has his right arm wrapped around Conor's jaw, and seconds later, Conor is tapping out to the neck crank. Khabib wins by way of submission in round 4 of the fight. The Eagle of Dagestan finally flew out to the ranks of undisputed lightweight champion by showing a masterclass performance against his greatest rival, Conor McGregor. Khabib kept his promise to the world and showed that he was the next big superstar in the UFC. If you're new to the channel, please drop a like, comment on what you want to see next, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.